Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast where we bought the WWE some stamps since they're mailing it in until the draft. It's Lost to the Midcard. This is our Money in the Bank preview episode. We got a lot of news to cover as well and get you set up for this Sunday's big event taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, I do believe. And us
at the brand new T-Mobile Arena.
Ooh, brand new.
Yeah, it's it's supposed to be really nice. Apparently they're getting a hockey team there.
Yeah, they are. And, of course, Matt and myself at Lost to the Midcard, definitely thoughts are with those friends and family affected in the Orlando tragedy as well. And as we move on and hopefully not see anything like that again, let's go ahead and get right to it. I'd like to thank SpiderDuck.net for being our host and enabling us to be on iTunes, any of your favorite podcasting apps. What you got to do is just search for Lost to the Midcard and hit subscribe. That way you'll know every time a new episode is coming your way, which will be every Thursday and then Monday after a pay-per-view. So this Monday, kids, another episode of Lost to the Midcard is coming your way. We're also subscribable on YouTube, and the links to both of those are on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Lost in the Midcard. Just go to the notes section, and there they are. We're also on the Twitter at LITMC Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Bennett. I am on the Twitter at JB Huskers, and as always, on the Twitter at Raw Showtime, it is Mr. Matt Black. Matt, how are we doing this evening?
Okay. It's been it's definitely been a weird week.
I should have introduced you as Brother Nero.
Yeah, it's just it's just been a weird week, you know. And with everything going on, it's just there's a big old black cloud over the world right now, and it just kind of sucks. But you know, there's still some kind of hope for our fandom when we just finished watching Nakamura stare down Finn Balor in a pretty epic promo that brought a smile to my face, and you just gotta hope things in the world overall are really sucking right now. But we gotta take any escape from reality or any piece of happiness we can get right now to just try to live to tomorrow and, you know, not dwell on all the negative, terrible shit that's out there right now. You know what I'm saying?
That is for sure. The end of NXT was definitely epic tonight. We will get to that later on. Let's kick off headlines with ratings. Ratings took a sharp decline for TNA to 210,000. Matt, why such the sharp decline in TNA ratings?
I guess a lot of people didn't want to watch the same 3 commercials on a loop for about 90 minutes. It's probably more like 110 minutes. Probably, yeah, because Impact didn't go on the air last night till like 10:50 in the evening because Pop TV fucked up.
Pop TV went pop, so whatever 3 companies those ads were on, they definitely got some exposure.
No, they were all Pop TV ads.
Oh, were they?
It was a constant ad for a game show, Impact Wrestling, and that 70s show.
Wow, no Schitt's Creek in there. Wow.
It was 3 straight commercials on a loop. I can't even remember what the game show was. And it was that 70s show, and it was Impact Wrestling. It was interesting.
Twitter was abuzz with the new, or with what was going on, and of course TNA getting railed, but of course it wasn't their fault. Storms in the Georgia area, I guess, caused Pop TV to play commercials. I guess, I don't know, something very interesting. But they got off the ground at 10:50 Eastern. Got 210,000 people to watch it. Maybe it was closer to 210. I don't know. and they are replaying it. They replayed it the next night as well. So very interesting. The first Impact Wrestling after their biggest pay-per-view of the year, and well, yeah, get to watch commercials for an hour instead. So speaking of dropping ratings, there's Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown, for the first time since moving to USA, goes below 2 million to 1.996 million, while Raw dropped under 3 million to 2.97 million. And Matt, well, that's a result of two things: the NBA Finals, and well, they're basically mailing it into the draft, I think.
You know what? I think the first hour made a lot of people tune out, because I thought that was one of the worst first hours of Raw that I've seen in a very long time. And granted, while the show got better as the evening went on, 9 o'clock was tip off of Game 5, and everybody wanted to see if the Cavs were going to extend the series, or if the Golden State douchebags were going to win another championship. And, I heard they pulled in like 20 million viewers for Game 5 or something ridiculous like that. That's really good for basketball. So, yeah. I mean, that obviously put a real big hurting on, Raw's ratings on Monday night for sure. But, I mean, them not putting on a great product in the first hour to convince people to tune out and check out said basketball game really didn't help their cause either.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I don't know. Sure is real interesting though. You get Draymond Green suspended for a well, I don't know, a very questionable call there. Of course, I think LeBron kind of was to fault for that, and so yeah, kind of makes you wonder that all of a sudden they suspend Draymond Green and then the Cavs win. It's like almost like they wanted to continue the series, keep those good ratings coming, right? Big news from NXT overseas, as they are doing their overseas tour right now, the Download Festival in Leicestershire, England. Bobby Roode makes his debut to a chorus of holy shits with an English accent, as Bobby Roode took on Angelo Dawkins. So this is his first ever appearance in the ring. He was not at the NXT tapings for this next month, so don't expect to see him anytime soon there. But I'm assuming leading up to Takeover and in Brooklyn, I think we'll have a little bit more Rude. And
they only taped 3 weeks.
Did they?
So I mean, there's 2 more weeks. I mean, they showed Rude tonight on the program that he made his debut. I mean, he wrestled a bunch of matches on the UK tour. I think it was in Dublin that they did Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that's crazy to even think about that happened.
No Dream match,
it did. Yeah, I mean, I think they only have 2 weeks of TV in the can right now if you don't count what aired tonight. They could easily do a video package on Roode next week, doing highlights from the tour. Maybe they recorded an interview with him while he was over there. They could have him on TV. But he just won't be in the Full Sail zone, as we like to refer to it as, until the next set of tapings, which I believe is later on this month. I believe it's being done it's sometime near the end of June that they're doing another set of tapings. So, I mean, it's not far off. And I would definitely assume we're going to see Bobby Roode there. And, we still got the question mark of what's going on with Eric Young as well. So, very interesting times in the world of NXT right now.
That's for damn sure, especially with the draft looming. It'll be interesting to see if any immediate call-ups are basically unveiled before our eyes at the draft that is about less than a month away now. If it's on schedule to be on the Raw the week before SmackDown goes live. The entire field of 32 has been revealed for the Cruiserweight Classic. Some interesting names in here, some names that I'm not familiar with, but I'm looking forward to seeing more from. Here's a quick rundown of the list here. Kota Ibushi, Gran Metalik, Tajiri. How about that one, Matt?
That was very shocking because, no offense to Tajiri, but the last time I saw him, he was working TNA, And I would be curious if that man was below the 205-pound weight limit of what I saw him in TNA the last time I saw him a couple of years ago. I hope the dude's in better shape. I'd love to see the Tajiri of old in this tournament. I think that would be really cool. But he was definitely one that I saw and I raised an eyebrow. I'm like, really? This Tajiri's in this? And he might have been a last second replacement for the Amazing Red, who was scheduled to be in this tournament as well. So I mean, that might have been where Tajiri came in, almost like a last minute alternate or something like that.
And hopefully we get a backstage segment with Tajiri and William Regal for old time's sake.
That would be funny.
Zack Sabre Jr., Noam Dar, Damak, Zumbi, Clement Petiot, Fabian Akinir. Wow, some crazy names here. Harv Sihara, Gurv Sihara, Rich Swann. You've seen him on NXT a couple times. The Brian Kendrick, Cedric Alexander, Akia Tawaza, Jack Gallagher, Johnny Gargano, Tony Nese, Tommaso Ciampa, Ho-Ho Loon, TJ Perkins, Anthony Bennett, Drew Gulak, Tyson Ducks, Lince Dorado, Sean Malata, Raul Mendoza, Kenneth Johnson, Alejandro Saez, Damian Slater, Jason Lee, and Arya Daivari. What names in there excite you for this 32-man tournament, Matt?
If we're not talking about people that are currently with the company, I would say that probably the one that excites me the most are Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander. Mm-hmm. I'll be perfectly honest. There's a lot of people in that tournament that I don't know, and I'm very much looking forward to getting to know them throughout this tournament throughout the summer. But there's a lot of unknowns in this tournament. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I mean, there's a lot there. I'd say out of the entire roster, probably know a little under half of their, like, I know the name. Like, I've heard that name before, but I couldn't tell you if I've ever actually seen them work. So I'm looking forward to this tournament. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And anytime we get additional wrestling programming on the WWE network, I always think it's a win.
Yeah, that's for sure. And also another name I'm really looking forward to seeing is Zack Sabre Jr. as well. Well, Matt, are we gonna push our recording time for Lost in the Midcard back an hour so we can catch the Cruiserweight Classic live?
We probably should.
Yeah, it's going to be live on.
It's going live. It's going on right after NXT on Wednesday night.
Yes, starting July 13th, which is the day after the live SmackDown. Holy cow, are we going to have a lot to talk about actually, no, it's a week before. I'm sorry, but still, that live SmackDown week, we're going to have a lot to talk about with Cruiserweight tournament, brand split, and everything. But July 13th is after the draft, though, so at least we'll know what the rosters look like going into the first week of the brand split. So this is going to be exciting. A great tournament. You think this came about thanks to things like the Battle of LA being successful?
I don't really know if the Battle of Los Angeles inspired this. Tournaments have been done in professional wrestling for forever. I mean, you could even say that the Dusty Rhodes Classic, the tag team tournament, inspired them to do new ideas with cruiserweights and women and different types of tournaments going forward. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's interesting. I like it, but I really don't think it's drawn inspiration from anything in particular. I mean, tournaments have been done in professional wrestling for as long as I've watched the product. Uh-huh. I think this is just something being done on a grander scale, and anything that adds, like I said earlier, anything that adds more content to the WWE network, I'm all for it.
Amazing Red did post some comments today, actually. He took to his official Facebook page and said, "Thank you, everyone, for the kind words. Long story short, I got surgery done 3 times in 1 month. First one was done incorrectly. Second one to relieve pressure and stop infection. Third one fixed it. Everyone who knows me knows I wanted this more than anything, especially in WWE and especially now. I know that things happen for a reason. I trust God, what He has in store for me. I'm not quitting. I'm gonna stay being the hardest worker ever. I won't stop. I need to make this dream come true, especially for my kids. For my House of Glory Wrestling family, I'll lead by example. God is good. Positive vibes. Thank you all to help me, by the way. So it sounds like the door is open for Red possibly to come to NXT, which would be something that would be very cool. Amazing Red was in his X Division heyday when I was regularly watching TNA, so I'm definitely a fan of his. While I haven't seen him compete in on a televised match in a long time, very excited to see what happens, and I have a feeling Triple H will probably give him a chance when the time comes. Matt, don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there won't be a tournament for him to come into, but I mean, Amazing Red's talent speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can stay healthy, I see no reason why they wouldn't give him a run in NXT and see what he can do down there.
Yeah, I'm fully excited to see that. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but hopefully sometime this year we'll see him in that NXT ring. More classic stuff added to the WWE Network. AW Day Super Clash 2 just was added to the Vault section of the VOD area. Some great matches, some great matchups in there. You get to see Nick Bockwinkel take on Kurt Hennig, Sherry Martel take on Medusa, Jimmy Snuka and Ross Francis take on the Terrorist and the Mercenary. I don't know what those are, but maybe they're some weird names back in the day. But definitely I think the Bockwinkel and Kurt Hennig is one to watch there for sure. TNA, well, we got a lot to talk about with TNA this week, and a lot of it isn't good. But
I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh.
According to a couple of posts made by the chief financial officer and chief operating officer at TNA, he had to secure interim financing with a 12-hour window in order for production trucks to roll for this weekend's events. Matt, oh my. Was he talking about Slammiversary or the following weekend?
He meant everything, the entire week of tapings.
Oh, for including Slammiversary?
Yes.
Oh man.
And that Facebook account has been deleted. He deleted his Facebook account over the last 24 hours. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Don't know. Some better news for TNA. It was supposed to be good news, Matt, but if it happens in a forest and nobody's there to see it when 3 commercials loop on and on. But the new inductee into the TNA Hall of Fame is Gail Kim, multi-time Knockouts champion, I believe 6-time Knockouts champion. Definitely helped pioneer the Knockouts division when it was at its beginning and then into its heyday with TNA. And while the Knockouts division is pretty decent now, it's definitely not what it was before. But Gail Kim as a TNA Hall of Famer, definitely well deserved.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gail Kim was there before they even started the Knockouts division. She was, managing Jeff Jarrett at the time and stuff like that. I mean, she's been with TNA for a long time, and I mean, granted, she had runs with WWE in between, but she's been, in my opinion, she's been in TNA a lot more than she's been in WWE, and she's been the backbone of the entire TNA Knockouts division. And honestly, I think besides Jeff Jarrett, who should have gone in years ago, then they finally put him in last year, I truly can't think of a more deserving addition to their Hall of Fame than Gail Kim. I think it was an excellent choice, and I think they made the right call.
New minority owner in TNA is going to be none other than Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan. This is according to PWInsider.com. They've heard from multiple sources that Corgan has purchased a minority stake in the company. Dixie will still remain majority owner and drive it into the ground further, I guess. I don't know. Is Corgan being a minority owner, does that, in your mind, Matt, does that kind of help TNA or to do nothing for them?
It does nothing. Minimal cash flow addition, probably, for whatever money he put in to buy a portion of the company, but it ain't gonna get him out of the freaking t-shirt warehouse. It's just they need to find a legitimate, serious investor, and Dixie needs to, get the stick out of her ass, where she feels that she needs to be majority owner of this company, and she needs to save this company by no longer being the majority owner and by being a minority owner and selling this company off to somebody who can finance it and keep it afloat. Because nobody wants to invest in this company with the money that TNA is looking for, as long as Dixie still has majority control. Because the history of TNA, anybody with a lot of money, all they have to do is just go and look at the history of it and see how Dixie has mismanaged the money and mismanaged the talent and mismanaged her TV deals since TNA's been around for the last decade plus, and they're not going to want to have anything to do with her. As a majority owner, like, I don't blame them. I wouldn't invest my money into TNA for a minority owner. If I won the lottery and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go fix TNA, and fix that company. I'm not taking a minority ownership. I want majority ownership of the company, and that's all there is to it. You want my money, you're going to step aside, and I'm sure that's what every other millionaire that's looking into investing in them are doing right now. Nobody wants to let Dixie run the ship because she's been sinking it for years. And then they are in probably the worst position they've ever been in right now in 2016. It feels like the dying days of ECW, and that's not a good thing.
I would have paid good money to see Dixie's reaction at about 9:00 Eastern last night.
Oh, well, she was very she was not handling it very well on social media. Let me just put it that way.
Oh yeah, I didn't see.
Yeah, let's just say she was less than professional.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those tweets are gone now. But yeah, she was having a little temper tantrum on Twitter last night.
One former star or one star of TNA has decided to jump off the ship before it sinks. That's Sergeant Chris Melendez. And he has decided to depart from TNA Wrestling. Says he's ready to move on to the next chapter of his life. I've learned a lot in and out of the ring. Thank you for the opportunity. Special thanks to the locker room and everyone that has embraced me and helped me along the way. You know who you are. He is not done wrestling, though. He says he's still taking bookings at sargebrand@gmail.com. Pretty cool for Sergeant Chris Melendez. 29 years old. He was trained at the Team 3D Academy. He's a U.S. veteran, injured in 2006 from an IED attack, and that cost him his left leg. So he was wrestling with one leg, and still able to do it fairly well. He was signed by TNA in 2014, feuded with guys like Kenny King and Eric Young. But props to him for realizing his dream. He never had a major play in the company, but it was still pretty cool to see him live his dream in TNA, Matt.
I'd be really surprised if they don't give him a look for NXT.
You think so? Wow, really?
He had a good look. I mean, they did the Zach Gowen thing before.
Yeah,
and that dude was like a $150 soaking wet.
Yeah, I mean, take out the...
Melendez was a pretty big built dude.
Yes.
And he was not bad in the ring at all. And he was brought up the right way with Team 3D. Yeah, he's got the feel good story attached to him already. To me, it's just, I would totally give him a shot in NXT.
Oh, I'm sure Bubba and Devon might be in Trips' ear.
Yeah, I would think so. I would totally think they were probably telling him to get out of TNA, and we'll see if we can get you out. Even Bubba tweeted last night during TNA's issues on television the words karma ... So I think you can all tell how Bubba feels about TNA and the
Uh-huh.
time that he spent with that company. So,
And Zach Gallen had recently competed American Ninja Warrior. Who was it he took? Was it Big Show he took on, or was it Brock Lesnar in a ridiculous match? I think it was Big Show.
well, I know Brock Lesnar beat the shit out of him, like flew him down a flight of stairs or something.
Well, it might have been Brock Lesnar then.
So yeah, I can't remember, but I remember Brock beating the shit out of him and throwing him down a flight of stairs. That I do remember.
Must have been Brock Lesnar then. He makes Cheeseburger look like a world class athlete.
Oh, Cheeseburger's gigantic compared to how big Gallon was back then. I'm not sure how big he is now, but you know he was really freaking tiny when they first used him.
Yeah. We had a lot of TNA news today, which is weird, but I guess it is their biggest pay per view, and then of course all the snafus. So sometimes they write their own stories. But backstage at Slammiversary, none other than Jinder Mahal. You think he's ready to stand up for wrestling, Matt?
Please don't sign Jinder Mahal.
Don't hinder the gender, Matt.
Oh God. Don't do it.
And I believe Bobby Lashley resigned too, if I heard right.
Yeah, Lashley signed a new deal, which obviously you should know as soon as they put the damn title on him that he signed a new deal.
Oh yeah,
Dude, the dude wasn't winning the title at Slammiversary if he hadn't come to terms on a new contract.
Update for Neville. PW Insider has learned that they expect him to return within the next month. The hope is by the end of June, but if not, no later than mid-July. So if he's not ready to go by the end of June, he'll be a nice little draft pick for somebody, and that'd be a great place to return him, don't you think, Matt?
Yeah, that would be great. You know Neville's one of my favorites. I look forward to seeing him back on the main rosters as soon as humanly possible. I just hope he doesn't come back too soon and fuck up that ankle. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if he's going to be wearing the same boots when he comes back, or if he's going to be wearing something different.
I don't know. Good question. But Neville did break his ankle performing a sliding kick to Chris Jericho on Raw. Of course, he was unfortunately had to miss WrestleMania because of that, as he was in the Intercontinental ladder match there. But a lot of people excited for his return. He did show up on camera to NXT TakeOver, so that does mean that he is close to coming back. As we had mentioned last week on Lost in the Midcard, at E3 just had basically on the tail end of wrapping up right now, and it was announced 3 wrestlers announced for the roster. Is that all they announced was 3? I didn't see any more.
Yeah, that's all they announced.
They only announced 3 wrestlers. One, well, they should have put her in last year, and one legend. The legend is Ultimate Warrior. The duh is John Cena, and the should have been last year is Sasha Banks. Those are your 3 announced. I thought they were gonna I thought all the new inclusions. I thought they were gonna do a lot more than just 3.
They let's put it this way, and I've been saying this all week, and it's just it's highly annoying. Injustice 2. The DC fighting game from NetherRealm, the creators of Mortal Kombat. That game comes out in 2017, probably sometime between April and May of next year. We already know 11 people on that roster. This game comes out in October, and if you don't count Goldberg, out of a roster of over 100 plus people, we know 3.
Yeah.
There's something wrong there. 2K, your marketing fucking sucks. Step it up, and I can't put it any simpler than that.
I can't wait till we get Trevor, Charles, and Scott on. Oh, we're gonna have I think it's gonna be a fun, enlightening discussion on the shift from THQ to 2K.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I use enlightening in quotes. Mm-hmm. Some good news for Ray Lapon, better known as Adam Rose. All charges dropped by the prosecutors in Florida in the case against him in the domestic violence. And so the decision was made after Lapon provided proof that he was getting assistance for his marital issues. I don't know what he wants to do now, but hopefully Matt, he can move on and get things going in the right direction for him.
Yeah, all's well that ends well, I suppose. I wish nothing but the best for his family. Hope the dude has a lot of success on the indie scene, and we'll see what happens.
Sounds like he's going to be working the indie scene as Aldo Rose. So yeah, we'll see where he ends up, and of course we'll let you know once we find out. Speaking of Adam Rose was in there with the same 60-day suspension as Connor. Connor's suspension officially ends today, June 15th. So he will return to action, and bet nobody's more happier than Victor, as he's just been getting jobbed out on main event. Mm-hmm. Can we finally get a serious direction for the Ascension? I know you're not a fan of them, but I'm a fan. I was a fan of them in NXT. I saw
they just
them
never did anything for me. It's not like I hate them.
Well, I didn't say you did.
I just find them. I find them as a very underwhelming tag team. That's all.
Yeah. I just said you're not a fan.
Yeah,
I just said you're not a fan. That's all I said.
Bring up the Authors of Pain. Let them kill the Ascension.
They might. You never know. I mean, hell, I wrote an article on all the big things I had for the Ascension in their first year in the WWE, and I bet you none of them happened. I have to go back and look at that. I think I wrote that. That could almost be. Well, that'd be almost 2 years ago. About over a year and a half ago now. Have to look at that.
Good times.
Ring of Honor is returning to New York City in December for Final Battle, and after many complaints about the venue, Terminal 5.
Bye-bye, Terminal 5.
Bye-bye, Terminal 5. Bye-bye, Johnny 5. It is returning to the Hammerstein Ballroom December 2nd, so very cool. The Hammerstein is, speaks for itself, Matt. It's a legendary place, and I think a perfect place for Ring of Honor.
I'm just glad they've got the stuff worked out. Terminal 5 was an awful venue for everybody who's ever attended it. I've been told nothing but bad things about the quote-unquote arena there. And I'm glad to see them returning to the Hammerstein. I'm glad that everybody finally came to terms, and it's definitely a good thing for Ring of Honor. It's a good thing for the New York fans, and I really hope they bring their set there, because it's always weird the way the Hammerstein is set up. I'm curious if they'll have enough room to put their new set in there. I hope they do, because I really like that new set. It really makes Ring of Honor pop. No pun intended. And it really makes them look like a super professional wrestling company. So I hope when they do their events at the Hammerstein, they're able to fit that stage that they've built in there.
Yeah, hopefully that'd be pretty cool. It'd be cool to see it in that arena for sure. Trademark news: WWE has filed a trademark for Clash of Champions. What Clash of Champions was a television. Basically a pay-per-view on television, a special event that NWA and WCW held, and it always aired on TBS, and typically to great ratings, even before the Attitude Era. And kind of wonder, Matt, the brand split, does this kind of almost sound like to you this is kind of a special combined network special type of deal they might have? Or is it...
They could be completely copying out on the names of the extra pay-per-views every month, and they could just be calling the secondary pay-per-views the Clash of the Champions. It's Raw, Clash of the Champions. Next one, it's SmackDown, Clash of the Champions. It might be something as silly as that.
My other gut,
I mean, who knows what they're doing with it?
My other gut feeling was they're maybe making a DVD on the best of Clash of the Champions.
That would be cool. I don't think anybody would complain about that.
Some sad news to report. Chris Warren, age 49, he was the guy that fronted the DX band, also performed the DX song, also one of Triple H's old themes, My Time, performed at WrestleMania 14 and SummerSlam 98. Unfortunately was found dead. Cause of death is currently unknown. So some unfortunate news there from one of the icons of the Attitude Era, Chris Warren. Yahoo.com featured Bo Jackson's reaction to Brock Lesnar comparing himself to Jackson as a two-sport athlete. And Bo basically said, I don't know who Brock Lesnar is. I think he's hiding under a rock these days, Matt.
Dude, Bo don't know Brock. Bo don't know shit. Like, dude, where the hell you been?
I know.
You can't tell me you don't know who Brock Lesnar is. Shut the fuck up, Bo.
Yeah.
When's the last time Bo was relevant anyway? And that's the problem. If Bo would have said he knew who Brock was, if he knew
89.
who Brock was, nobody would be talking about him. The reason
89.
people are talking about Bo right now is because...
Of what he just said.
Yeah, but because he said he didn't know who he was. So congrats, Bo. You got your 15 minutes of fame back. Jobber.
Answer your question, 1989.
Oh, boy.
Or maybe 91. Maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah, whenever he did that cartoon with Wayne Gretzky and Michael Jordan.
Some very cool news from my childhood. Jim Ross announced today on the Ross Report that he has signed on to produce a documentary called 605 on the Superstation, which will cover the 20-year period that NWA and WCW and Mid-Atlantic were on TBS, the Superstation, from the late 60s to the late 80s. Like I said, I've said this many a times. I grew up watching. I'd stay at my grandma's a lot when I was a kid on Saturdays, and I'd watch the old Superstation at 5:05 Central. So this is truly a documentary that I'm gonna definitely take a look at. Similar to Kickstarter, they are looking for some backers for this documentary. If you go to NWALegends.com, there's a bunch of, just like Kickstarter, there's a bunch of tiers where if you donate, you can get yourself some pretty cool stuff, or even get mentioned in the credits. And if you donate a lot, you'll get hang out with Jim Ross too. So
how much?
I saw the grand was about the highest. Let me get to it real quick. I got the breakdown here.
Attention, Brad Ward.
All right, $25 donation. Your name will be listed on the film's website as a sponsor for the film. You'll get exclusive email updates from start to finish as well. $50 donation gets you the digital download once it's completed, plus the $25. Everything's obviously just like Kickstarter.
Yeah,
everything else
they
plus
stack it.
Yes. $100 donation, all the above plus a DVD of 605 on the Superstation and your name in the credits. $150 donation gets you, in addition, a T-shirt, a movie poster, all personally autographed by good old JR. $250, all the above plus you and a friend will join JR, Jim Cornette, and others for a private donor-only reception at FanFest in Charlotte. Which
Wait, this one was $250?
Yes.
That's not bad.
No!
That's not bad.
That's a private dinner, and you get to meet Corny and JR.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's not bad honestly, for $250, that's not bad at all.
No. If you're able to get to Charlotte, yeah, that's really awesome. $500, all of the above, plus you'll be interviewed by JR at FanFest in Charlotte. That's cool.
What are you going to say? That's right.
I'm getting interviewed by JR.
Yeah, exactly. Like what
the man's got a family.
I guess Jim will ask you questions about your memories of that. That's really weird to be interviewed by Jim Ross.
Still pretty cool though.
I'd rather interview Jim Ross.
No, that's it. Yeah. Come on, Lost in the Midcard, JR. We're pimping your documentary. And then finally, the $1,000 donation, all the above, plus you get to join JR for dinner at FanFest in Charlotte, and for the premiere weekend. So you get to have dinner with good old JR. So the 250 is obviously going to have a group of I would say probably 50. $1,000 donation. I'd say maybe 10. So there you go. Different kinds of dinners with JR. Well, actually, you could have, if you pay $1,000, it looks like you get 2 dinners. So
double dinner.
So that's some pretty cool stuff. But like I said, that was my childhood. I am excited for that project. Of course, it's looks like it's going to take a while for that to get off the ground. But Moose update. Moose's contract expires within the next month. Obviously, we reported that he was at Full Sail for visiting Apollo Crews and also a guy named Triple H, probably. That's
hearsay, damn it.
Vince, what are you doing at this NXT meeting?
Don't say anything. He's still under contract. He didn't meet with Triple H.
There's
Son
Vince.
of a bitch.
Vince is our legal counsel for last in the Midcard. It's good to have him on here. Thanks, Vince. So I met with Paul Levesque. So I met with Paul Levesque this week, not Triple H. As also what we mentioned last week, something real cool is the Women of Honor are going to have their own special show here coming up on July 8th, and they're going to be in Baltimore, right?
Yep, I'm going.
Excellent. And there's a let's see here. Looks like free admission with the purchase of a ticket to their Aftershock event. Is that kind of how?
Yeah, it's basically a back-to-back show. If you buy tickets to Aftershock, I don't even know why it's a house show, but they're calling like the Aftershock tour or whatever.
Well, they name all their tours.
Yeah, so if you buy a ticket to that, you get into the Women of Honor show that happens earlier that evening for free. So you really can't beat it.
No, and signed to compete for the July 8th event, we have Amber Gallows, Crazy Mary Dobson, Deonna Purrazzo, Faye Jackson, Jenny Rose, Kelly Klein, Kennedy Brink, Mandy Leone, Sola Darling, Sumi Saki, Taylor Hendricks, and Veda Scott. That's a hell of a lineup that they've got there, so that'll be a lot of fun. And in about 3 weeks, we'll get Matt's thoughts on that Women of Honor special. I can't wait to hear about that. The next Stone Cold podcast, it's coming soon. It's coming Monday, actually. AJ Styles will be the guest, Matt. Although it's not Taker and Sting, AJ Styles is perfectly fine, I think.
So, AJ, how did it feel to job to John Cena last night at Money in the Bank? What? How does it feel like the job to him for the next 6 months? What? In all honesty, I'm hoping to God, since the fact that he is interviewing AJ on Monday, that means that AJ is going to beat John Cena Sunday night. But we'll see what happens.
See what we predict. Very interesting name at the television tapings for NXT, as none other than Daniel Bryan was backstage. And we were like, well, hey, a few weeks ago we were like, well, Daniel Bryan could be the GM of NXT if Regal got bumped up to SmackDown. Very interesting. Well, none of that means that that's going to happen. Just pretty cool. This is his first time actually being seen with the WWE since he announced his retirement. So very, very cool. And also, as Mike Johnson had mentioned on PW Insider, Bryant had got to reunite with Gabe Sapolsky from Evolve. They worked closely together in Ring of Honor, so that was pretty cool. And it says here the original incarnation of Evolve was the brainchild of Sapolsky and Dana Bryan. And of course, Bryan, you'll be seeing him on TV this fall, Total Bellas, with People Power. Are you gonna be watching Total Bellas, Matt? Come on, Matt. You get to see me on TV. Tell me you're not excited for People Power.
I'm excited to see Daniel Bryan. And that'll probably be the main reason why I watch that show. But I can't say that I'm like super bumped up or, excited about it. I just can't.
WWE files a trademark for Maurice, and also the network adds some more stuff. Nitros from 99 and 2000, so they almost have the entire run of Monday Nitro up. And then they can work on Thunder, right, Matt?
Thunder in Paradise, brother.
No, not Thunder in Paradise. Oh.
You'd be more excited for Thunder in Paradise.
I might actually. In our weekly Cody Rhodes segment, Cody Rhodes' first Evolve opponent is going to be Johnny Wrestling. Awesome. He'll be facing Johnny Gargano in his Evolve debut, which is, I believe, his non-WWE debut. August 19th, I believe, is his no-compete date when that ends. So that'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going.
You should.
I don't know. Depending on how I'm feeling. Like, I'm a lot more excited about the Ring of Honor show than I am about Evolve.
Yeah. But it's Cody Rhodes and Johnny Wrestling, so at least you know you'll get one good match out of the show.
I might wait until like closer to the show when they release the full card.
Mm-hmm.
And make my decision then.
WWE Network is now on another avenue for you. If for some reason you don't have any PlayStations or Fire TVs or anything like that, Chromecast is coming soon for the WWE Network. So Chromecast support will definitely expand the fan base and give you another place to watch it. I know Chromecast is definitely a popular item, so that'll definitely could actually add some more subscribers too, if that's the only kind of streaming device they use.
I would think it will.
Very cool at the Download Festival where NXT currently is. Triple H received the first ever Spirit of Lemmy Award from Metal Hammer at the Download Festival, and it was presented to him by Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine. So, pretty cool honor for Triple H there. Of course, close with Lemmy. Lemmy, obviously, a big part of the WWE with Triple H. So that was really cool to see. All right, let's see here. Next up here is NXT. And this is the very first episode after TakeOver. We get a full recap of what happened on the show last week. And if you missed our recap, just make sure to go to facebook.com/LostInTheMidcard. Go back a little ways. You'll find our links to YouTube and iTunes for last week's episode. It was great one. We kick off the show with the Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering, and I thought, Matt, now they're going to talk. No, they're just going to beat a couple of jobbers. And while those jobbers got destroyed, and Andra, what is that new girl's name? Is it Andrea?
I can't remember her name. I'm sorry.
I think it's Andre. She tried to interview the Authors of Pain. They just kept walking. She tried to get a word in with Paul Ellering, and he said, "In due time." So eventually, we will get the master plan from Paul Ellering, and Cien Almas interviews with Kathy Kelly, and Ty Dillinger interrupts to say that last week at TakeOver was a fluke. You're not going to make your name off of him off of 1 week. You're going to make your name off of him with 2 weeks. Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't say that, but William Regal signs the match for later on, a rematch from TakeOver. Ty Dillinger and Almas later on. Carmella took on Tessa Blanchard. Not really that competitive of a match quite yet, so hopefully more for Tessa later on. But I would assume Carmella probably is going to be next in line for the Bayley Asuka winner. Would you say that's a fair assessment, or maybe Nia Jax? But I think Carmella, they're grooming her to be in that title picture again, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're doing with her down there. I still think it was a mistake with Enzo and Cass.
I'm sorry, what was that you cut out there?
I don't really understand what she's still doing down there, and I stand by. I believe that it was a mistake that they didn't bring her up with Enzo and Cass.
Yeah. Did you watch the Breaking Ground special?
I have not gotten a chance to watch that yet, no.
Yeah, they show Triple H explaining why Carmella is not coming up with him. So.
Oh, well, by all means, fill everybody in.
Oh, well, basically Triple H says she could be a star on her own, and in order for her to do that, she has to stay down in NXT.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she was thrilled to hear that.
Well, she did take the high road and was very positive, so.
I guess she didn't have a choice but to be, but if I were her, I probably wasn't happy about that.
I praised her positivity, and she gave me a retweet there, so thanks, Carmella. How you doing? They replay Samoa Joe's comments from WWE.com after he won the title. A very badass promo. I loved it. Buddy Murphy, Wesley Blake, they're interviewed by Kathy Kelly. She asks if they're okay. Well, they're reuniting without Miss Bliss. And they're going to put the history behind them and reclaim what's rightfully theirs. And their first victims are going to be TM61. Shane Thorne, Nick Miller from TM61. They take on Blake and Murphy in what was a pretty solid tag team match, and with a finisher, kind of a double spine buster they call Thunder Alley. TM61 gets their first win in NXT. Matt, what did you think after you got another look here at TM61? What did you think with those guys?
I thought the match was fine. Like, at no point did I feel like it blew me away or anything. I thought it was just a solid tag match.
Do you think these guys could be eventually, once people get to know them better? Do you think they might be the faces that kind of replace American Alpha when they get moved on?
They've got a lot of character building to do in order to pull that off. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could see them taking the place of American Alpha, but I mean, I don't know if there's anybody down there right now that can take the spot of American Alpha when they get moved up. So,
no.
I mean,
I'm not saying right away.
NXT is definitely attempting to rebuild their tag division right now, and they need to, because they're not going to have American Alpha for much longer, from the looks of things, and they need to make sure that tag roster is as strong as it can be when they have to leave.
Much like with Gargano and Ciampa, we might get a pretty cool dream team from the tournament. Maybe a Cedric Alexander and somebody, get a couple of guys that seem they may work well together and try them out as a tag team in NXT. I think that'd be I have a feeling that's going to probably be one of the results from that cruiserweight group is a new tag team in NXT. And Cedric's worked tag teams quite a bit with drawing a blank on who he was with earlier on, but who was Cedric Alexander tagged with back in the day in Ring of Honor? God, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Caprice Coleman.
Yeah, Caprice Coleman. And then later on, towards the end of his run with Will Ferrara. So they take a look at the Revival's comments after TakeOver, and then they show footage of the NXT tour in the UK with Bobby Roode. And what does that mean for NXT? We'll find out hopefully very soon. They also show Nia Jax injuring Bayley. Is that kayfabe injury, Matt, or was she legit injury?
Kayfabe.
I didn't know if there was anything nagging with her to take her off for a month.
She was working the house shows the entire time. It was just
okay.
It was a storyline, so they didn't have to go. So they had a storyline reason not to go right back to Asuka and Bayley.
Gotcha. Ty Dillinger took on Andrade Cien Almas, and this was a match where Almas basically had control of almost the entire match, and hits his double knee finisher for the 3 count. I think Almas is winning over the Full Sail crowd. He's got skills, so I'd be curious to see what direction they go with him. But definitely influenced by Buff Bagwell and The Godfather for his fashion styles. But man, that barber, he gave him the old Ricky haircut from Major League there, Matt. Give him the heater, Ricky. Finn Balor makes his way to the ring, wearing his business casual, slacks and a polo, and basically says, where does he start? The very first time he saw NXT, he was sitting at home in Ireland and saw Enzo and Big Cass and said he wants to be a part of that. And he came here and he became a part of NXT as much as NXT became a part of him. NXT is who he is. He was champion for a record 292 days. He went to wars here. He went to war with Neville, Tyler Breeze, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe. Yet he stands here not the champion. And the question is, what's next for Finn Balor? And a Bullet Club chant started to erupt. I heard somebody yell SmackDown. And then Balor said, gave him a little too sweet. So little pander to the crowd.
You did notice what WWE did here, right?
No.
Well, the first time Finn asked the crowd what's next for Finn Balor,
Yeah.
WWE put a graphic on the screen and said Money in the Bank this Sunday.
What timing?
And I'm telling you what, that wasn't by accident. Because I can't ever recall in all my time watching NXT, I can never recall a graphic being popped up on the show advertised in the upcoming Sunday WWE pay-per-view. I don't ever remember that happening. And Finn asked, what's next for Finn Balor? And they throw up the damn Money in the Bank this Sunday graphic. I'm like, come on. Come on.
And Matt's sitting there on his couch going, will you stop?
I'm telling you, I think we're going to see Finn on Sunday.
All right, well,
I really do.
Predictions. When we get to our predictions, we'll see where you fit him in.
Oh, I know exactly where he fits. And you should too if you think about it.
What's next for Finn Balor? The lights go out and Shinsuke Nakamura's music plays. And, oh, man. Electricity in the crowd. Electricity on my couch. I was electric. Nakamura says, if Finn wants some, he wants some too. When he was in Japan, he watched him become the icon of NXT. He knows Finn is not the champion anymore, but he is still the icon. If he wants to be champion, he has to beat the icon. He has to beat you, to a huge ovation. Finn tells Nakamura that he has answered his question of what's next for Finn Balor. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor. They shake hands and show. Matt, what a great fucking ending to that.
It was an amazing segment that I knew that was coming, but at the same token, I got chills. I marked out. I loved everything about it.
Me too.
It truly just proves, sometimes you can read a tape and you're like, man, that taping sucks. And you watch it or you don't bother watching it because it sucked. But at this point in 2016, it doesn't really matter if professional wrestling is taped or not. If it's good, it's good. And if it's bad, it's bad. And it doesn't matter if it's live or if it's taped. Because Raw was live on Monday and a lot of it was bad. This NXT was taped a week ago and that segment was phenomenal. It just doesn't matter. I mean, everybody is so insistent on the live to tape thing. But I feel like segments like tonight, disprove that theory that, you don't have to be live to get something amazing. So that's just my 2 cents.
Ring of Honor Television this week, as we are now as you're listening, 8 days away from Best in the World on pay-per-view this Friday the 24th. And we will give you our preview for that pay-per-view next week on Lost in the Midcard. And then in 2 weeks, we'll give you our thoughts and reviews of what should be a killer show, including a title match that is 1 year in the making with Jay Briscoe taking on Jay Lethal. 1 year ago at Best in the World, that is when Jay Lethal defeated Jay Briscoe for the title and became the holder of all the individual gold in Ring of Honor. Matt, when you say what's a good way to start off Ring of Honor, and the answer with Moose against Naito, I think that's a good start to Ring of Honor, don't you think?
Can't hate.
Can't hate. And Matt, what was your line about NXT and Moose there when I was watching this earlier?
Moose coming to NXT quicker than Bobby Roode. I definitely think. You know how Apollo Crews debuted at Brooklyn last year?
Yeah.
I'm going to make a bold prediction and say at NXT back to Brooklyn, which is the name of the special this time around, we will see the debut of Moose. I don't think he will be called Moose. I think he will have a different name, but I believe that we will see Moose debut at Brooklyn for the new TakeOver special this August.
I'm sure he will be one of the guys that the WWE completely repackages, but I would love him to keep the Moose gimmick. Maybe just make that his nickname. Fake first name, the Moose, fake last name.
They could do that.
I that would be my hope, but I doubt they do it. But the Moose, The old fist pump. I mean, that's something that's his, and unique. But of course, I said Kill Steen Kill was unique too, and well, they went with Kevin Owens, which we learned to love. So it's okay.
And I'm sure this might be an unpopular opinion for some people, but I think Moose is better than Apollo Crews. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Moose does down in NXT.
I think about it. I don't think I can disagree.
I really feel like Apollo wasn't ready to be brought up to the main roster.
Oh no. I said that from day one when
don't get me wrong. I like Apollo in the ring. But I think as a character, he's has not been fleshed out at all yet, and I don't think he's very good on the microphone. I definitely feel like Moose is a much better overall package at this point in his career than Crews is.
He didn't even have a damn feud in NXT. He's got one now at least, and his first pay-per-view match. So, fella. Naito comes out in a pimpin' white suit. Gets ready to lock up with Moose, but he walks away. That's so funny. Love it. Naito just makes me wish I could watch New Japan all day long and get more of these guys. But the more I see of Naito, the more I see why Japan just is going nuts for this guy as their unlikely hero of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Naito and Moose, though, very, very good match. Some great drop kicks by Moose, of course. Great back and forth by these guys. In the end, though, Naito hits the tranquilo for the 3 count, and no surprise there because that's your IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Naito. So, what's next for Naito in terms of defending his belt, Matt? Do you know?
I'm not sure who's next down the line. I don't know.
Probably he's defending it at Dominion, I'm assuming. We go to a little vignette with All Night Express, Kenny King and Rhett Titus, and they're here to make wrestling great again in 2016. Matt, have we heard this somewhere in some capacity?
No comment.
No comment. That leads us into ANX against Ligerburger. Liger and Cheeseburger, they defeat the Addiction at the last pay-per-view. 2 days later, the Addiction win the tag titles. And in the very next time Liger and Cheeseburger team up, Mark Briscoe's the kiss of death. Mark Briscoe said they were undefeated as a team. But ANX defeats them in their call to make wrestling great again. But man, the crowd here for this event was awesome, and the ovation they gave Liger at the end was pretty cool, Matt.
I mean, he deserves it, man.
That's for.
I mean, they didn't even know if they were going to see him on the tour after the accident that he.
That's right.
That he suffered on that pay-per-view. So, I mean, I think that was his first time back in the ring after that, botched spot by the Addiction. So, I'm sure the fans were just, really happy that they got to see him, because you never know. Dude's getting old. Anytime you might see him in your area, it might be the last time you see him in your area.
Yeah, so, like I told you as I was watching Ring of Honor, it still amazes me when I see the tail of the tape on Leo Rush and I see debut 2015. Let's flip that the other way around, and I'm amazed when I see the tail of the tape and I see debut for Liger 1984 when I was 5. Yeah, I'm an old fart. Roderick Strong comes out and confronts Nigel McGuinness because he's upset of having to team with Mark Briscoe, his opponent at Best in the World next week. A huge 8-man tag match with the Briscoes and their opponents being on the same team. It's going to be the Briscoes, Roderick Strong, and Jay Lethal as they take on the Guerrillas of Destiny and the Young Bucks in what should be a killer main event next week on television. Back from commercial, Silas Young makes his way to the ring and grabs the mic and makes fun of ACH for playing video games and says how he is not a real man, and says at Best in the World you will learn that no video game or dumb cartoon will have you. This will be no video game or dumb cartoon when you fall back to reality. And as Silas is getting into it with a fan wearing an ACH shirt, ACH comes out and does a dive and takes out everybody. Kyle O'Reilly cuts a promo talking about how he lost to Kushida in the Best of Super Juniors tournament last year. He said that it was his goal to beat him in the next 365 days, and we are at day 337. But your time is about to come. Your time has run out. O'Reilly Kushida, main event for Ring of Honor TV this week. Amazing match. Kushida working on the arm of O'Reilly. O'Reilly working on the leg of Kushida. As you can imagine, lots of submission attempts and submission holds in this match. Great back and forth. And typically, you know, we always say, well, New Japan goes over a lot. Well, not this time. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Kushida gets defeated by Kyle O'Reilly. So there you go, Matt. Ring of Honor gets the W there for once.
Well,
in a high-profile match.
Even a broken clock's right twice a day.
That's true. Real quickly, we are going to talk about TNA. Slammiversary was the big pay-per-view that just came out here. The X Division Championship was Trevor Lee, the champion, against Eddie Edwards, DJ Zima, and Andrew Everett. And Eddie Edwards coming out on that on top. And then apparently, well, I guess we won't. Should we spoil it for him? Nah.
Yeah.
If you really want to watch it, go ahead. There's some more X Division stuff coming up in their TV tapings, but Grado and poor man's Mason Ryan took on the Tribunal. I don't think anybody cared about that. We got a three-way for the Knockouts Championship between Jade, Gail Kim, and Sienna, where Sienna is now the new champion. According to Mike Johnson, it was kind of a mess of a match. Originally, it's supposed to be Gail Kim against Maria, but Maria not ready to return with her broken hand. James Storm took on Braxton Sutter, which I believe was Pepper Parks in Ring of Honor. And James Storm gets the win there. Eli Drake took on Bram, and Eli Drake defends his King of the Mountain Championship. And again, why Bram's a face? I don't know why Bram's there even. I don't know. EC3 and Mike Bennett battled in a pretty epic match there, but and EC3 comes out on top. And then we get full Metal Mayhem with Brother Nero and Matt Hardy. Apparently this match was insane, with Jeff Hardy getting the win, and then Matt Hardy cutting a 5-minute promo on Facebook later on that night where he says no words. He just grunts and stares at the camera and bangs his head on the window. That's 5 minutes of my life I'm never getting back, Matt. Did you watch it?
No.
You probably because you saw my words. You're like, oh, I don't need to watch this now. You just told me in one sentence. You told me what the whole thing was. Decay took on the Bromans, and Decay retains the tag team championships. And then for the TNA championship, Drew Galloway took on Bobby Lashley. And as we just said, hey, Bobby Lashley signed a new deal, so hey, he gets the title. Not really outside of the Hardys, where we've been talking about it just because of the so bad it's good skit. Outside of that, I mean, there just isn't anything to really get behind here, isn't there?
Not really. It kind of sucks.
This week in pro wrestling, 1991, WCW held Clash of the Champions 15 in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is where World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair defeated Bobby Eaton in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Very rare to see Eaton in this capacity since he was with the Midnight Express, but it was a breakout showing that he could do things in a singles match as well in what was a great 2 out of 3 falls match. This week in 2003, David Sahadi, at the time extremely important cog in the WWE's top-notch production machine. He was the number 2 or 3 man in the WWE production behind Kevin Dunn. Gave us notice that he's leaving the company. He was considered the go-to guy who Dunn hands all of his top projects off to, and described as a creative genius by many in the company, largely responsible for the production innovations and pieces that have left lasting memories in the WWE. Matt, maybe he realized that he doesn't suck as much dick as Kevin Dunn and figured he was as high up as he was going to
go. Sure, I guess that's one way to look at it.
Good assessment?
Yeah, why not?
This week in 2005, ECW. the One Night Stand pay-per-view came out to us, where we basically got ECW, an ECW show. It was produced completely by Tommy Dreamer, something that is never really done in the WWE because Vince does everything. Did you enjoy the One Night Stand pay-per-views in 05 and 06, Matt? Just because I did, just because they were different.
Yeah, I liked them back in the day, but then they decided to turn ECW back into a thing, and they kind of ruined it.
This week in 2007, the mainstream media is going nuts over the exploding limo of Vince McMahon. What were your thoughts when you saw that?
That it was stupid.
I think I laughed when that thing blew up.
It was just stupid.
It was like the longest segment in history. Vince just staring. Well, it's like, what wasn't that like? Wasn't that the same night like the $1 million giveaway or something, or the sign fell, or what happened to cause Vince he's like spacing out? I can't even remember.
I can't remember.
And then they just went through this long freaking segment where they show basically every second of Vince exiting the arena, and that just took forever. And that was weird. Happy birthday to the Mountie, as he was born in Quebec in 1960. One of Matt's idols, Mike Jones, who's better known as Virgil, was born in 1962. I hope Virgil doesn't charge us for saying his name on the podcast. He probably will, won't he?
Fuck Virgil.
Unfortunately, this week in 1982, High Chief Peter Maivia, the father-in-law of Rocky Johnson, grandfather of The Rock, passed away due to cancer at the age of 45. This week in 1993, WWE held the very first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view in Dayton, Ohio, and Bret Hart defeated Bam Bam Bigelow to win the very first King of the Ring. This week in 2002, NWA and TNA announced plans to debut the X Division Championship. Too bad it's such a crap show now. That was basically the thing that put TNA in the map at one point, and now it's a division that if you watch TNA, you'll see what happens to it later. This week in 2004, Bad Blood was the pay-per-view for the WWE in Columbus, Ohio. Triple H took on HBK and Hell in a Cell in a match that took 47 minutes. That was quite a lengthy match. Speaking of ECW, the premiere of ECW on Sci-Fi aired in New Jersey, posted a 2.8 rating. The show opened with Paul Heyman presenting the champion, the new WWE champion Rob Van Dam, with the ECW World title. And it also featured the debut of Kelly in a segment where basically she's stripping. And it only went downhill from there. This week in 2011, WWE presents a live 3-hour All-Star Raw to help promote the WWE All-Stars video game. And, man, I wish they'd make another one of those, Matt. That game was fun.
It was a great game. 2K hates fun, apparently.
Happy birthday to Chuck Palumbo. He was born in Providence, Rhode Island this week in 1971. And finally, this week in 2007, Hall of Famer Sherry Martel passed away. She was a former WWF and AWA Women's Champion, best remembered for her roles as one of the best female heel managers of all time during her 1990s WWF run, working with Shawn Michaels, Ted DiBiase, and Randy Savage. Moving to World Championship Wrestling in 94, she worked with Ric Flair during his feud with Hogan before managing Harlem Heat. And she was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame during WrestleMania 22 weekend. And Matt, what was your favorite impression of Sherry in her time in professional wrestling?
I mean, most of the time I saw her, she was a manager.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I enjoyed her work. I thought Sherry was always one of the good female managers when I was growing up. Sucked to see her go. Definitely felt like she went before her time.
Yeah. SmackDown this week, we start off with the club, and Styles is comparing Money in the Bank to WrestleMania and saying this could be the greatest Money in the Bank of all time, which is a line that WWE has used quite a bit. Matt, do you believe with the card we got that this is the greatest Money in the Bank of all time?
No.
Yeah, they like the hyperbole, so.
Nothing's ever going to top 2011.
No. CM Punk?
Yep. Card from top to bottom was WrestleMania worthy, and I don't feel this one is. They've got 3 top matches, and honestly, after the top 3 matches, everything else on the show is shit. So it is not close to being WrestleMania worthy.
Gallows and Anderson and Styles are interrupted by Enzo and Cass. And so they go back and forth on a pretty cool promo, which leads to the club, Gallows and Anderson taking on Enzo and Cass. This did not even finish. Went to a no contest as the other 2 teams kind of caused the brawl to set up the fatal 4-way for the tag championships. Cesaro and Sami Zayn took on Alberto Del Rio and Kevin Owens. And how many different ways can we put Money in Bank participants in a match? But this was a really good tag match. So as always on SmackDown, they always get the time. But like I said, I don't know. You're probably with me, Matt. I mean, there's only so many ways we could do this. I don't know. What would make the lead up to the Money in the Bank better than just mixing and matching all 6 guys into matches?
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's been a very piss poor build to the Money in the Bank match. I honestly, I can't remember the last time. Like, even though I'm looking forward to the match itself, I truly can't remember the last time I was this underwhelmed for a Money in the Bank match. I think the booking for it has just been garbage. So
the guys involved are great, and the match is probably going to be phenomenal. You know, we'll be wowed, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, that's all they've been doing is just mixing and matching guys, and that's about it. Dana Brooke took on Becky Lynch in a 3-minute match, and Lynch applied the disarmor to defeat Dana Brooke. Later on in the week, it was announced that we'll have a tag match at Money in the Bank, Dana Brooke and Charlotte against Becky Lynch and Natalya. We get another life lesson segment with Darren Young and Bob Backlund. Once again, it's a race to see who can do more promos until the next appearance between them and the Shining Stars. We'll see what happens there. Baron Corbin kills Kalisto, basically. It's the end of days after 4 minutes. Gee, Kalisto, thanks for your time with the U.S. title. And Dean Ambrose took on Chris Jericho in the main event. Pretty decent match there. But, hey, look, what was the main event of Raw, too?
I don't know. What was the main event of Raw?
Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho.
Dude, Raw was... I couldn't even remember what the main event was. That's how non-good the show was.
We go to Raw. Yeah, we go to Raw from New Orleans, Louisiana. Go home show for Money in the Bank, and it made us want to go home. The entire roster starts off on the stage for a moment of silence for the Orlando tragedy. We'll get to that in just a moment of more lazy writing in that. We'll get to that in a minute. New Day kicks off the show talking about their title match at Money in the Bank, and Kofi's wearing the Steph Curry shoes that everybody's making fun of. I thought that was hilarious to throw in the shoes. You've heard about the shoes, right, Matt?
The shoes are garbage.
My friend Chris said it best. I think he said that they look like something a nurse would wear.
I have no. I can't even imagine how they thought that those shoes were a good idea.
Wow. Enzo and Cass interrupt the New Day after they get fun of making fun of Kofi, and Enzo and Cass, the New Day, they were pretty funny together. You said the first hour sucked, but I thought this was fun. I thought Enzo and Cass, in the New Day, I thought that was pretty fun. Maybe a little creepy talking about how Enzo spent the night with Francesca too, but you know.
I don't know. I felt the entire segment just went on too long. I don't know. I mean, I liked the majority of the people that were involved in the opening segment. It just, I felt like it went on entirely way too long, and by the time it was over, I was just like, okay, can we move on now? It's just, I don't know. I really did not like the first hour of Raw at all.
Vaudevillains came out, and Simon Gotch called them the five guys in the ring troglodytes. I think Chris Jericho wants his royalty check there. Aiden English did some singing, because, well, the guy can sing. So, and Gallows and Anderson came out and said, you guys are all fucking bunch of jokes. Well, he didn't really say that, but basically that's what they meant. And so there you go. Promo with all the teams. We get ourselves an 8-man tag match. No Teddy Long to make it, but Kofi Kingston, Big E, Enzo and Cass take on the Club, and English and Gotch, the Vaudevillains. Pretty entertaining 15-minute match there, won by the bad guys. So we'll see if that gives either one of those teams momentum for us to pick them in the predictions here coming up in just a little bit. Ambrose Asylum with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins is later on, so they decided to air a lot of Shield vignettes. So they showed the debut of the Shield next when the Shield put Ryback, Ryborg through a table. Stephanie's in the office. Shane shows up. They argue. So it looks like the honeymoon's over between those guys as the brand split is coming up, and both of them want control of everything. So. But we get the return of Director of Operations Kane, and I know Matt went wild, right?
Wild would not be the word I would use, but okay.
Obviously, they're just bringing back old bosses, or old people that were authority figures.
Yeah, we're gonna see Laurinaitis before this is all said and done.
People power. Well, of course, because they're going to have to promote Total Bellas in the fall. They'll say, "Oh, coming in the fall, Total Bellas and People Power." Zack Ryder makes fun of Sheamus to some jabronis backstage, and Sheamus overheard it. Oh my God! Meet you out in the parking lot after school. Basically, is what that was, right, Matt?
Something like that.
Oh, hey, look, a Shining Stars promo. So they are right on pace with Backlund and Darren Young. Make vignettes great again.
I don't understand how they debuted them.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just forget about that debut. We're doing the vignettes again.
And here's what's funny. Before the debut, the vignettes were them actually in Puerto Rico. Now it's them in front of a green screen.
It's so really weird. Like I don't get it at all. I mean, maybe they're just waiting to use them until the draft. And they feel like if they put them on TV right now, they have to hurt them before everything gets split up.
Maybe they're splitting the tags up. I almost want them to not split up the tag teams and women, just have them on both shows. But I don't know. I don't know how to do it really. I just don't know. I don't know. 2 women's champions and 2 tag champions to me just doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, you wouldn't think so, but this is WWE we're talking about.
Yeah. They showed another Shield promo when Seth turned his back on the brothers. Actually, before that they showed the brawl with Evolution, which was phenomenal. Their battles with Evolution. Top hour 2, we get our Ambrose Asylum. Actually, before that, Titus O'Neil came out for what was to be a match, but Rusev attacked him from behind and slapped on an accolade. So that sets up the heat for their U.S. title match. Ambrose Asylum with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And I don't know. I kind of liked it. I didn't hate it. What did you think?
I think this is another case of the opening segment. I thought it went too long. I liked the end result. I liked some of the lines during it, but I felt the entire thing kind of just like dragged. And I don't know. It just Raw. It felt like Raw never got out of first gear Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
It really felt like the Raw from a few weeks ago when they were going up against the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals in the same night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really felt like another one of those. It's just like, yeah, we don't give a fuck.
Yep. I liked when Rollins was going over all the good times they had, and how Ambrose was passed out by a dumpster, and then they brought up Batista, and that started a huge Batista chant. But yeah, I think it was pretty solid segment all in all. But yeah, it was long. That was for damn sure. Ambrose is shown backstage, and Steph walks up to him and congratulates him on the return of his talk show that was reinstated by Shane. And she puts him in a match against Chris Jericho just because we haven't seen that in a while. So we just saw that on SmackDown. I'm sorry.
3 million times in the last 3 months.
Charlotte took on Paige, and 3 minutes, Paige wins with the Rampage DDT. And so that's the second win for Paige against Charlotte. I think we're going to probably pencil that match in for Battleground. I don't know. Seems like the women's division's running in place right now. You agree?
It's completely fucked. They've ruined it. And then we need a new champion to reset everything and try to fix this division. But the Charlotte reign is flopping terribly. And WWE has nobody to blame but themselves, and they're absolutely terrible creative when it comes to the women.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they don't give a shit. Revolution my ass. Charlotte rips Dana Brooke a new asshole. And so Brooke just sucks it up and says she'll do her best next time. Sheamus took on Zack Ryder, and I told Matt this when I was watching. I was actually watching I was at theater for the E3 Sony presentation, so I watched Raw when I got home later. Or actually, I watched half of it on Monday and then the other half on Tuesday. And I told Matt, I go, well, yep, if you see a broski boot in the first minute of the match, that's probably going to end in the next minute. Sure enough, there was a bro kick. Thanks for coming. Rocksteady gets the win. Sheamus was doing a post-match beatdown on Ryder when Apollo Crews makes the save. So I thought it was while you said Crews needs a lot of work and such, I think his intensity and anger, that's something he should have showed when he had that match after that Sheamus beatdown. Remember when he came out all hoppy and smiley that night on Raw? He came out with the intensity and focus and mean streak he should have had on that night. He came out on this night to save Ryder. So I thought that was well done, at least by them. Corporate Kane talks to Shane backstage. They say they want to leave the past behind him, meaning the old battery cables to the testicles. We all remember that one from 2003. Kevin Owens shows up and asks if Steph's around and said he didn't want to cause trouble, but he's tattling on Del Rio for showing up late and calling him unprofessional. But if you watch the opening tribute to the victims of Orlando, there's Alberto Del Rio, so apparently the writers forgot about that. Owen says that because of this, Del Rio should be out of the Money in the Bank match. Shane says, well, you're going to have a tag match, and Del Rio's your partner, and you got to take on the Lucha Dragons. If you lose, the Lucha Dragons are in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and Matt and I will throw a brick at the TV. That was so stupid. This whole thing was stupid. A, Del Rio's clearly on the stage in the beginning. B, we all know who's going to win this. I mean, yeah.
Stupidity for the sake of stupidity.
Sami Zayn and Cesaro, good match. It was short, but it was a good match at least. So that was one of the few highlights of Monday Night Raw. Sami Zayn getting the win after a sweet destroyer move. Whoa, that was a killer in execution at the end there. Contract signing for John Cena, AJ Styles. John Cena does a long promo. He talks about PWG, Ring of Honor, and New Japan. What? No Impact Wrestling, Matt?
What?
Yeah, exactly. Styles makes his entrance, and John Cena says he has 2 contracts for him to sign. One is John Cena versus AJ Styles. The other one is John Cena versus the Club. And Cena, quote-unquote, wants to know if Styles will secure his spot as captain of the Bitch Club. by signing the contract of the 3-on-1 match. Basically, Cena getting at Styles' manhood to get him to sign the 1-on-1 contract for Cena and Styles. And well, we all know the club's going to get involved, right, Matt?
We'll see.
Maybe not. Okay. I thought Styles was great here. I'm gonna probably guess you're gonna say this was just like everything else. It went too long.
No, I thought this was fine. I
Okay.
think you're missing the bigger picture here.
Which is?
The club's not supposed to be allowed at ringside.
Oh, did they even mention that on Raw?
That was pretty much what the designation was between the contracts. One, the club was allowed to be there, and the other one, the club wasn't allowed to be there. So, guess who's going to be there?
No,
yeah.
Never mind.
No, they ain't no never mind. That's what's going to happen. Finn's gonna join the club on Sunday, and he's going to help AJ beat Styles.
AJ's going to beat himself?
Shut up.
I love the line with your Kmart shopping ass. That was pretty funny. Great back and forth, though. I love heel AJ Styles. It was good. These two good promos. Of course, they're building it up as the match of a lifetime. Well, it kind of is. It was the guy that led TNA against the guy that's led WWE. So it's a big deal. Del Rio and KO took on the Lucha Dragons, and no surprise, Del Rio and Kevin Owens, they win. Pop-up powerbomb by Owens, and so they maintain their spots in the Money in the Bank ladder match. We all knew that was a no surprise. Main event was Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, part 55, and Stephanie and Shane got into a pissing match on Control because Shane allowed Cesaro to be on commentary, so then KO bitched, and so Stephanie put KO on commentary, and Del Rio bitched, so now he's the bell ringer, or timekeeper, or whatever the fuck, and Cesaro's the special guest ring announcer. So all 6 guys are involved in the main event with Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose. That went about 13 minutes. Okay match, but it was basically about the guys on the outside, and eventually they all predictably fought to end Raw. And yeah, that was that, Matt.
That was that.
Money in the Bank is upon us. This Sunday.
Let's hope it doesn't suck.
Let's hope it doesn't suck. They've been mailing it in. And we have 8 matches on the card, 2 of them on the pre-show. Dolph Ziggler against Baron Corbin once again. Matt, who do you got here?
Oh, God, I don't even care. I'm so done with this feud at this point. Double DQ, double count out. I don't give a fuck. Seriously, this is the pre-show 3 events in a row. Just end it already. I'm done. By putting it on the pre-show 3 events in a row, you're telling me this feud is not important. And thus, I don't believe it's important either, and I don't give a damn who wins.
I think Corbin gets his heat back from getting racked, and so I just think, again, Corbin wins. I don't know why they're doing it again. The upstart Apollo Crews taking on Sheamus. I think Apollo Crews goes over here.
He has to.
I don't see any reason to stop the momentum, because a loss against a guy like Sheamus, who hasn't been winning much lately since he lost his title, just makes no sense. What do you think, Matt?
The Crews has to win. I mean, unless they use Big Show's interfering and helping Sheamus for some stupid reason. 101 with no interference, I can't see any booking logic that doesn't put Crews over here. You gotta salvage the new guys that you brought up and hopefully they don't fuck up Apollo too badly here.
No women's title match, but we get a tag team match. Charlotte and Dana Brooke against Natty and Becky Lynch. My gut is Paige helps Natty and Becky Lynch win. Setting up the Paige and Charlotte match for Battleground. How do you see it going down, Matt?
I don't think Paige is involved at all.
Okay.
I don't think Paige is getting the title shot of Battleground either. I think it was nothing more than a match to show that Dana's on thin ice with Charlotte, and somehow Charlotte and Dana will probably win, so maybe we can finally move on to the damn Sasha Banks feud. Because, my God, I'm damn tired of freaking Natalya versus Charlotte.
You'd have that at Battleground?
Don't have to have it at Battleground, but you could freaking at least push to that direction now.
Yeah. United States Championship, Rusev against Titus O'Neil. Matt, what do you see here?
Rusev better damn well retain.
Yeah, Titus O'Neil just got out of the doghouse. I think he, even though this is a nice push for him, he just got out of the doghouse. I don't see anything other than Rusev winning here either.
Honestly, I could see it going either way, but
I really can't now.
I prefer Rusev to retain. Well, the way O'Neil got beat down on Monday, booking logic says that he's going to come back and get his win on Sunday, but then again, it's Titus O'Neil, so that's why I'm not, confident that booking logic will prevail here. But normally you get beat down like Titus O'Neil got beat down on Monday. He's winning the title on Sunday. Yeah. But I just, if it's anybody other than Titus O'Neil, I would think that this just isn't possible.
This is an interesting one. Fatal 4-way for the WWE Tag Team Championship match. It is the champions, The New Day, against Anderson and Gallows, Enzo and Cass, and the Vaudevillains. They have been pimping the record being approached that is held by London and Kendrick. But unlike AJ Lee, London is in good standing with the WWE. He's in the Cruiserweight Championship. Yeah, Kendrick is.
London is not on good standing.
Kendrick is in good standing. So I don't know if they're going to...
How close are they?
Let me look. My gut is put it on Anderson Gallows. I'm going to still go with it. I'm going to go with Anderson and Gallows. But New Day is at 297. London and Kendrick were at 331. So they're just over a month.
So they'd have to hold the title still Battleground.
I'm going to go with the club. I'm going to go Anderson and Gallows here.
WWE loves breaking records.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time it makes sense you could get the titles off of New Day without them being pinned.
Mm-hmm.
But something tells me that they're so close to the record that they're not gonna capitalize on it. WWE loves breaking their own records. I'm gonna say somehow New Day retains. They'll probably pin the Vaudevillains or something.
And yes, the club is banned from ringside, something I didn't catch when I watched Raw, so either I was spacing off or they didn't convey that well. But it's AJ Styles, John Cena. I think this is going to be a classic. This is going to be a great match, I think. I know what you just said, but I can't go against tradition. I'm going Cena. You still sticking with your interference?
Finn Balor debut, AJ win, AJ on Stone Cold Podcast Monday night.
Okay.
Too many factors in here to not do it. And there's no reason to freaking hurt Styles going into the draft when you need as much top-tier talent as possible.
Money in the Bank ladder match. First question, Matt. Do we get a surprise 7th entrant?
No.
All right. We have 6 competitors in it. Kevin Owens, Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, and Alberto Del Rio. Matt, who do you got going here?
Owens.
I agree. I've been bouncing back and forth between Zayn, Ambrose, and Owens, and even Cesaro at sometimes. After everything had shook down, Ambrose would be a good story, cashing it in at the main event later on that night. But I'm agree. I settled after watching Raw. I settled with Kevin Owens as well. So.
Yeah, because the sad state of affairs, Dean Ambrose winning, it makes too much sense.
Yeah, makes too much sense.
And
he would be great.
Heaven forbid if you do the thing that makes the most sense, because that just wouldn't be WWE logic.
As long as Ambrose or Owens wins, those are the two interesting Money in the Bank holders. That makes things interesting when either one of them if either one of them wins, I will be very happy. I'll be happy if Sami Zayn wins it too, but I would rather see Owens or Ambrose win this one. But I am going to go with Owens as my prediction. WWE World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins in his first match back since his knee injury. There has been a pattern of short title reigns with Roman Reigns in his first two. He has not had a long title reign, really, so to speak. Seth Rollins worked his ass off to get back in this time frame. I am gonna go Seth Rollins here. Roman Reigns this is his longest title reign of the three. I think they are keeping Reigns. I don't think they're going long title reigns with Reigns. It just seems like that's the pattern that they're building. I could fully see with everything Rollins has done to work to get back, that they give it back to him in his first match here. I just, that's the way I feel. I think Seth Rollins is going to take it. Matt, how do you see the main event working out?
I think Reigns leaves with the title, much to our chagrin. I don't see Seth taking it back. Get back. Happening.
I'm sorry, you'd cut out there. What was that again?
I don't see Seth taking the title. I think Roman's going to retain.
Do you think in your prediction, do you think Triple H gets involved to
No.
start any kind of rift with him and Rollins?
No.
Is there going to be a rift with him and Rollins? Is this going to be a SummerSlam match?
No.
Okay.
I think it'll be completely forgotten about by the time Triple H is back on TV.
How do you bring Triple H back to TV?
I don't bring him back anytime soon.
Draft night?
I don't even bring him back then.
Hmm.
I don't bring Triple H back to TV until Road to WrestleMania next year.
Hmm.
Just let him run NXT.
Not a bad thing. Of course, that's what he's doing right now. He's overseas. That's going to do it for this edition of Lost in the Midcard. Once again, thank you to SpiderDuck.net for being our host and enabling us to be on iTunes or any of your favorite podcasting apps. All you got to do is search for Lost in the Midcard and subscribe. We come at you every Thursday and Monday after a WWE pay-per-view, so that is this coming Monday, our next episode. We're also subscribable on YouTube. The links to both of those are on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Lost in the Midcard, and also those links are on our pinned post at our Twitter page at LITMC Podcast. And before we wrap things up and head into Money in the Bank this Sunday, Matt, what are your final thoughts?
I really hope they don't coast through, which is normally one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. Really bummed out at the lack of anticipation I have for this show. Especially, we were coming off a high just a couple weeks ago, the idea of the draft. WWE's product's been so, whatever since that it's
bland.
Bland. Bland's a good word to use. It's really hard to be excited. And I really hope they don't coast through Money in the Bank, and I hope they, pick their shit up over the next couple weeks leading into the draft, because right now it's just like, it feels like they're just going through the motions to get to the draft and the brand split, and right now they don't care, and I hate it.
I
And
fully agree.
like I said at the beginning, of the show, we all want entertainment to escape into and to get lost in, and stuff for us to focus on when we don't want to be burdened down by the awfulness that is the world around us right now. And when one of your main sources of escape decides to just go into dillygaff mode, it's very disheartening. And I really hope they switch the gear at Money in the Bank and give us a good summer run of television programming over the next few months.
My hope is, obviously, I agree with the direction the WWE's gone in lately. Has just sucked. It's just been boring, bland, and coasting and bland, and they're just waiting for the big change to happen. Obviously, I think we're going to get wowed with the top of the card in the tag teams. I think the first hour of the show. Well, I guess it depends on what order they put stuff in, but the first 3 or 4 matches we covered. Not interesting at all, except for maybe Apollo Crews and Sheamus. I think that could be a good match. But we've seen Corbin and Ziggler many times. Though, I was a fan of a long feud with Castle and Silas Young. This one, it's really, come on, let's go. Let's move on here. The women, WWE's caring about them none. This feud has been really bland. It's the key word there again. But the tag team has been fun. We're going to get a good match out of them. I think we're going to get a phenomenal, pun intended, match between Styles and Cena. I think, obviously, Money in the Bank's going to steal the show because look who you have involved. Some great talent in there. Though it wasn't a great build, they just basically mixed and matched parts for the past 3 weeks. But the talent they got in that match is top-notch, solid, and even has some new blood in there with KO, with Sami Zayn, a returning Cesaro, Dean Ambrose again, maybe looking to get back in the main event picture, and then 2 veterans in Alberto Del Rio and Chris Jericho that are going to just add to the quality of the match. And then you got the title match with Reigns and Rollins, and this is what we've been waiting to see, the return of Rollins since he got injured. So I think we are going to be half and half on greatness in this, and then hopefully the WWE then ramps up the talks of what's going to happen with the draft, the splits, the rules, everything, and hopefully that leads to some good TV leading up to it and not coasting into it. So hopefully you'll get it excited, JB and Matt, on Sunday night as we record Lost in the Midcard. But for Matt Black, this is Jeremy Bennett. Thank you for tuning into Lost in the Midcard. Make sure to catch us on Monday morning for our thoughts on Money in the Bank.